Tonight's Monday Night Raw continued a strong showing from the Red Brand talent in the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Drew McIntyre has declared his intention to take out everyone that has associated themselves with Roman Reigns and CM Punk. He once more focused his ire on Sami Zayn and the Usos. Seth freaking Rollins sat down with Jackie Redmond to discuss his upcoming match with CM Punk at the Raw on Netflix premiere. An injury to Kairi Sane has left her place in the Women's Intercontinental Championship Tournament Open. Who would step up to fight Natalya and Alba Fire? Damian Priest looked to continue to make life terrible for the Judgment Day after costing Finn Balor and JD McDonough the World Tag Team Championships last week. Dexter Lumis represented the Wyatt Six in a one-on-one contest against The Miz. The final testament we're certain to watch the A-listers back. This show tonight began an exciting holiday-themed week of great wrestling. Hey there, welcome everybody to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and Streamia.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio. I am joined tonight by the Phenom, Michael Volek, fresh off another one of our legendary Raw chats. And, well, in the immortal words of Wade Barrett, I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you folks tonight. Good old MF Michael Fletcher will not be joining us this evening due to work commitments beyond his control. He will, however, be back with us on Thursday night, and we'll address that elephant in the room at the end of the show. But nonetheless, of course, as you all know, last week we had a double taping. Of course, we all know the reasoning behind it, of course. Triple H being the far better leader of this company than that other guy was. It was obviously done so the superstars the wrestlers can go home and be with their families for the holidays and before they go back to work, near the end of the week. Thursday, actually. They'll be back on the road on Thursday. So, but it's great that they're getting this time off. And because of that, there's going to be a lot more taped shows over the next few days. This show taped tonight. Tomorrow's NXT. That's a taped show. For those of you who care about it, AEW Dynamite is a taped show on Wednesday. TNA is Thursday. Best of show. The next live show will not be until Friday night on SmackDown in Tampa. And next Monday's Raw will be live in Houston. So that's just to give you a heads up on what to expect this upcoming week. So double taping last week. Of course, last Monday was the live show. This was the taped show. And once again, from the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts, the home of the 2024 NBA champion Boston Celtics, as well as the Boston Bruins. And not much more to say, except we started it off with an in-ring segment. It was Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre explained why he targeted Sami Zayn and the Usos, blaming them for isolating him. Sami Zayn interrupted to say that everyone was struggling, and not everyone blamed someone else for their struggles. And he challenged Drew McIntyre to a match later on. The Scottish Warrior called out that Sami Zayn is hurting and should not fight tonight. But Sami started a brawl anyway. And then Jey Uso came out to help Sami Zayn and clear out Drew McIntyre. McIntyre has cut promos time and again in WWE that rivaled the absolute best in the business. And this still may be one of the best he has ever cut. The way he framed his own pain as the motivation for his violent actions gives him a depth few other heels can match. He is the loneliest man in WWE, desperately in need of support. Sami Zayn explained so well why he could be a friend to McIntyre if it was not for the bad blood between the Scottish psychopath and main event Jey Uso. Drew McIntyre gave Sami Zayn an out for this match while also selling that he is too hurt to beat Drew. It was masterful work from two of the best in the world right now. Add in the return of Jey Uso, who remains McIntyre's best established rival in WWE right now, the match between these two men should get a major premium live event spotlight or Raw on Netflix spot. Before the Scottish Warrior started talking, WWE showed highlights from McIntyre's recent attack of Jimmy Uso on SmackDown. McIntyre explained that he lost a close family member after Hell in a Cell, and only one wrestler checked on him, either mentally or physically, during that time. The Scottish psychopath established that CM Punk and Roman Reigns are the real villains of WWE, and he will hurt anyone that props them up. Sami Zayn was particularly angry at McIntyre turning on the fans because they made him. McIntyre blamed the travel schedule for hurting him more than anyone else. And the Scottish Warrior warned Sami to leave rather than fight because he considered Zayn the least of his worries. Segment of the night, no question about it. So not much more to say on that. And we have it. And that is our main event later tonight. Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. So a return match from Saturday night's main event 9 nights ago. So not much more to say. Segment of the night, absolutely. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, your thoughts on this opening segment? Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn, segment of the night, setting up their main event match for later, the return match from Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, like you said, like you said, Drew McIntyre, he's been pointing the finger at a lot of people who've been propping the bloodline, or so Roman Reigns and CM Punk, and that he's trying to say, like, oh, he's the victim and all this, but when in reality, if he had just let the whole thing go from what happened at Clash of the Castle, he wouldn't be who he is today. But he obviously wants to take out every member of the bloodline for making his life miserable. But yeah, Sami Zayn stood up to him, saying, "You know what? You're not the. The fans didn't turn on you. You turned on them. So yeah, and then they basically just went at it. So, and sets up for the main event later on tonight. So yeah, this was a strong opening segment. So let's move on to our first match of the night.
All right, and that first match was the final first round triple threat match in the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. Alba Fire versus Natalya. And it was supposed to be Kairi Sane, but Kairi Sane was attacked last week by Pure Fusion Collective and she was not medical. She was deemed medically not cleared. She was not medically cleared to compete. So they needed a replacement. And there was a backstage moment where we had a brief reunion with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. We all remember when they were co-authority figures, a couple of years ago or so. Thank God they dropped that. But Sonya Deville was trying to convince that it should be her or Shayna to replace Kairi, but Adam Pearce was not having it. And Adam Pearce made the decision, and he made a big one. Kairi Sane out, Io Sky in. So it was Io Sky versus Alba Fire versus Natalya in the final first round match of the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. And the winner of the match in 8 minutes and 5 seconds and advancing to the semifinals, Io Sky. So we have our semifinals set, and they will both take place next Monday night on Raw in Houston, the final Raw of 2024, and the final Monday Night Raw on USA Network before the big move to Netflix. On one side, it will be Dakota Kai versus Zoe Stark. And on the other side, Bullock, we got Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria. What?
Oh yeah.
So your thoughts as Io Sky wins this triple threat in 8 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good match. I mean, I thought we should have gotten a little more out of this, but I'm not really gonna complain all that much about it. So 2.5 to 3 is my rating on it. I mean, great work by both women, and yeah, Io Sky winning was to me the right move because, like you just said, it sets up a really good matchup with really good semifinal with her and Lyra Valkyria. I cannot wait to see that next Monday night. So, 2.5 to 3 for me. It's yours, Florio.
Solid 2.5 for me. While Io Sky was not going to lose to two women currently struggling for TV time, the Genius of the Sky, you can make an argument. Certainly could be the first women's Intercontinental Champion, but we'll address that down the line. But Io Sky is a former WWE Women's Champion and should be a future World Champion as well. Damage Control already represented in the semifinals with Dakota Kai. Natalya could have filled the veteran role, putting over Lyra Valkyria. Alba Fire would have massively benefited from more spotlight with plenty of untapped talent. Io Sky was the glue in this match and will do great work with the Valkyrie next week. The pace of this bout was rushed, but the Genius of the Sky kept it on track. However, hopefully this will not cost Lyra Valkyria her run, as I think she remains the perfect first women's Intercontinental Champion, given her pedigree and lack of main roster accolades. I'll go as far as to say this. I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I believe whoever wins between Lyra Valkyria and Io Sky next week, I believe that woman will be the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion. So the two semifinals are set for next week. And you have to imagine they're going to save the final for Netflix. So there's no doubt about that. So solid 2.5 for this. So with that being said, inside the Judgment Day's clubhouse, Finn Balor vented about how he should have 2 titles, yet has none. Liv Morgan told Raquel Rodriguez to tell Finn Balor that she knew this would happen. And then Balor told JD McDonough to tell Morgan that she has her own problems to worry about, namely Rhea Ripley. Morgan told Rodriguez to tell Balor that she was on his case because he lost the tag team titles. And then Dominic Mysterio interrupted and said he was going to ask Adam Pearce for a match against Damian Priest. And that's really all there is to say on that. So definitely some big-time dissension within the Judgment Day for sure. Chad Gable squaring off against Akira Tozawa in our next match, and unfortunately, it's not now. This hardly ever happens, especially during this day and age with the Triple H creative regime. This happened regularly in the old regime, but cutouts, and we got we actually have a couple of them, believe it or not, and this is one of them. Chad Gable versus Akira Tozawa. Chad Gable winning the match in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. I could go as far as to call this a dud. And I do need to get this off my chest, though. American Made has fallen off a cliff in terms of relevance in WWE since losing definitively to the Wyatt Six. The losses themselves were not the problem as much as aftermath. The entire stable can only beat the Alpha Academy, and that played out once again in this match. Gable squashed Tozawa and mean-mugged Otis as he has for months. Chad Gable versus Otis was once a hot ticket match, and the TD Garden still reacted strongly to Otis standing up to Gable. It just did not have the same strong energy as months back. And an American Alpha cannot just stay in this same story forever. This group needs to look dangerous again. The Creed brothers and Chad Gable should not be backing down from Otis on his own. So that was an absolute dud for me. And we will see Chad Gable versus Otis on Raw next week. Damian Priest squaring off against Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Unfortunately, we will be bypassing this as well. Damian Priest winning the match via disqualification in 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Yeah. Another dud here. This was about as lame as the Judgment Day has ever looked. Damian Priest single-handedly foiled every trick the group could pull, including evening the odds with the War Raiders at his side. There was no real match between Damian and Dominic as the interference started quickly. Hopefully a real match is planned between Priest and Dirty Dom for the new year that can begin to end this Judgment Day feud. At least this match tied in some holiday fun with JD McDonough as Santa Claus, but it was hardly memorable. Next Monday night on Raw, 6-man tag team matchup. Damian Priest and the War Raiders against Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and JD McDonough. 6-man tag in Houston. So another dud. And then we had footage of Jackie Redmond's sit-down interview with Seth Rollins that was listed as being recorded over the weekend. Redmond asked Rollins what the source of his disdain for CM Punk is. Rollins said he's tried to explain it many times, but he feels like he's talking into the wind. Rollins said Punk needed WWE. WWE did not need Punk. He said the level of hypocrisy and eats at him. Rollins said his match with Punk will be a fight. Rollins says it's the biggest fight in the industry and he needs it now. He said he wanted to throw his remote control through his television when he saw Roman Reigns put his finger in the air while CM Punk did his GTS signal. Rollins said the match will be raw, visceral, and violent. Rollins said he needed to cut the cancer out of his brain, and Redmond plugged Rollins and Punk for the Raw on Netflix on January 6th. And that was fine when it comes to reestablishing Rollins' disdain for Punk, but they did not add anything new. Dexter Lumis squaring off against The Miz. Dexter Lumis wins this match via disqualification, 2 minutes and 25 seconds. I'm sorry, another dud. What can I say? Booking 2 short matches with disqualification finishes back-to-back is sloppy booking, but this one at least felt more warranted. The Final Testament cares less about wins and more about hurting the Wyatt Six. However, Karrion Kross finds himself outmatched this week by the Wyatt Six, even without Uncle Howdy at the helm. While WWE needs to keep this feud more present on television week after week, this is a feud that can still be a major part of Raw in 2025. So, yeah, another dud. And then backstage, Damian Priest and the War Raiders had a little moment, and that basically set up the 6-man. Okay, now we finally have something relevant to get into here. The New Day. So let's try to set this up right here. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods interrupted the commentators talking about New Day's actions. They struggled to talk against the boos. Even Kofi's own mother at ringside denied him and walked out. And then Rey Mysterio tried to get New Day to apologize backstage, but they still refused. And let's see. The broadcast team spoke at ringside about Kofi and Xavier turning on Big E 3 weeks ago. Footage aired of fans booing the New Day on a recent show. Kingston and Woods showed up at ringside and confronted Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett. Woods asked what happened to unbiased journalism. Kingston said their job is not to have an opinion, it's to tell the truth. Woods said Barrett and Big E aren't man enough to lace up their boots again. Kingston and Woods entered the ring while the crowd booed them loudly. Kingston said it was supposed to be a homecoming for him. He pointed out that his mother flew all the way from Ghana and was seated in the front row. And Kingston blamed the fans for ruining her experience. And Woods said they gave the fans 10 of the best years of your lives. Kingston and Woods went to ringside. Kingston apologized to his mother and said she didn't deserve it. Kingston said he didn't understand why the fans were doing this. Kingston asked his mother for a hug, and then Kingston's mother stood up and then asked what was wrong with him. and Kingston's mother grabbed her coat and belongings and left the ringside area while Kofi called for her. The crowd may have sat through a marathon show last week, but they worked up plenty of anger. They worked up plenty of angst for Kingston and Woods. That was fun, and Kingston's mom did a great job of looking upset with her son. So I would say second best segment of the night here. And Michael Bullock, New Day, we talked about this, the New Day getting that Dominic Mysterio level heel heat. My goodness, even on a tape show, go figure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, this was a tape show, and even the heel heat is loud, even on a tape show. And yeah, I mean, Kofi Kingston thought his mom was gonna stand up for him, but obviously she didn't approve of her son's actions lately, especially with Big E. So she took her stuff and said, "I'm out of here." And Kofi's like, "What are you doing?" So, and let's not forget another thing that we saw earlier in the night when Dominic Mysterio said, "What did Dominic Mysterio say, Florio?"
He said, "I don't like Big E, but that was crazy."
So even and then the New Day said about Dominic's mustache
that he was a bum ass Tom Selleck, and then Dominic said, "Tom, he wishes."
I'll tell you, they're really rubbing a lot of people the wrong way in the locker room, even getting on the bad side of the heels. So, including Wade Barrett. I mean, I'm telling you, Florio, a lot of people are starting to turn on the New Day now after the deplorable comments made at Big E a few weeks ago. And quite frankly, I can't blame them. I mean,
3 weeks ago, yes.
I mean, now I know if MF was on with us, he'd probably be saying, whoa, right now. He'd be like, whoa, wait a minute, Bullock. You're still trying to tell me that Kofi and Xavier are wrong for what they did? What did I tell you? Kofi and Xavier were justified for what they said to Big E. But he's not here, so I can say, hey, what these two did were wrong. So I'm telling you, I mean, something's going to happen eventually. And then, of course, we saw backstage another confrontation with with the two of them and Rey Mysterio, and said, "Get used to this new thing you're going to hear every time. New Day sucks. New Day sucks." And you know what? Maybe we should say that too, Florio.
Breaks my heart, but yeah.
Yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So it is yours, Florio.
All right. Next Monday night will be of course, as I mentioned earlier, next Monday night, two things. It's not only the final Monday Night Raw of 2024, it's also the final Monday Night Raw on the USA Network before they move to Netflix the following week. So, and we're going to set the table right here and right now. As it will be Damian Priest and the War Raiders teaming up against Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and JD McDonough in a 6-man tag team match. The two semifinal matches in the Women's Intercontinental Championship Tournament: Dakota Kai versus Zoe Stark, and Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria. Chad Gable will go one-on-one with Otis, and CM Punk and Seth Rollins will be under the same roof for the last time before their big match on January 6th. Main event of the evening, Drew McIntyre squaring off against Sami Zayn. This, of course, the return match from their match on Saturday night's main event. And the winner of the match, as I'm trying to find it here, winner of the match in 15 minutes and 45 seconds. Once again, it was Drew McIntyre. Michael Bullock, I don't think there's anything else left to say except fight of the night, far and away, right here.
Yeah, this was far and away the fight of the night. 3.5, 3 3/4 for me. I mean, the outcome to me was never in doubt. I mean, obviously they wanted to continue to get over Drew, especially with his feud with the bloodline here, and of course, like after the match, I mean, Drew continued his attack on Sami Zayn until Jey Uso came out, and then just when it looked like he was about to polish off Drew McIntyre, out comes the new bloodline, and basically they take out Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, obviously to build towards the big matchup on January 6th with when Raw premieres on Netflix with Roman Reigns against Solo Sikoa. Tribal combat. The winner becomes the undisputed tribal chief and gets the Ula Fala. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. So it is yours, Florio.
Yeah, fight of the night, far and away here. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. This was a match on a different level to the rest of the night for obvious reasons. Playing off everything that Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn said in the opening of the show, this was a brawl between an injured man and a dangerous hunter. While the ultimate underdog kept the pace up to stay in the action for a while, it was clear that the Scottish psychopath was too much for him. McIntyre made clear that Zayn had never beaten him, giving extra motivation for the audience to root for the ultimate underdog, but this was not the right time for that to change. The Scottish psychopath sets the stage for a match with Jey Uso that could be brutal and allow Jey to elevate his game against one of the best going right now. And that's pretty much all we can say on that. So yeah, 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Most definitely the fight of the night. So there's not really anything else left to say except let's get into our overall review. And it is not often that we do this, but normally, the show averages around a 7 to 8 out of 10 rating, in all honesty. But I hate to do this, but I got to be the man who tells it like it is. And when I say that, nothing good comes out of it. And it also pains me, even as a Raw guy, to say this, but if I'm gonna be completely honest with all of you, I thought tonight's Raw was the worst of 2024. This was the worst show. Not one, not two, but 3 dud matches on this show. That's unforgivable. But they did have 2 good matches and 2 good segments. You had Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn, and you also had that women's Intercontinental triple threat match. The opening segment with Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn, and that segment with the New Day. Those were the only good things about tonight's show. Everything else, not all that good. And I'll even credit that sit down interview with Jackie Redmond and Seth Rollins, but nothing left for me to say except this. This was about as flat a holiday episode as WWE could have delivered. Lacking any holiday-themed action, this was instead a basic episode of Raw, lacking most top names. Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn carried the show from their opening promo to the main event bout, and everything else felt superfluous. The best moments of the night outside of those 2 men were the New Day's continued struggles with the crowd and Seth freaking Rollins' pre-taped sit-down interview. The energy in TD Garden was low for the second show taping, and the action did little to help the crowd wake back up. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods got more noise than anything else by a wide margin. The Judgment Day and American-made angles are about as stale as WWE stories can get and need an immediate refresher. The Wyatt Six deserved more than a 5-minute spotlight a week to make this Final Testament rivalry work. The women's division needs a stronger direction beyond a never-ending Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley rivalry and a slow-moving Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. This will all likely get better on Netflix, but it does not excuse WWE putting in a half-hearted booking effort to penultimately end the USA Network era of Raw. So for me, I am going to give the show in excess of 4 to 4.5 out of 10. And without a doubt, the single worst Monday Night Raw of 2024. And it's not even close. Pains me to say it, but I got to be the man who tells it like it is. So 4 to 4.5 out of 10 for me. So Michael Bullock, your thoughts on this taped show? And then we'll get into our special NFL previews here.
I'll be quite honest with you, Florio, and I think that 4.5 is being a little too generous. I mean, if I'm going to be quite honest with you, I think it's straight up 4. I mean, this was WWE punted on this episode. I mean, like you said, I mean, if it weren't for those 2 good matches and the 2 good segments, this would have been worse than 4. I mean, we've credited Triple H with so many good things when it comes to Monday Night Raw, but this was not good. But remember, Florio, remember what we said so many times when it comes to Triple H. Is he perfect all the time? Absolutely not. I mean, he's bound to make mistakes once in a blue moon. And unfortunately, tonight was one of them. And he'll bounce back from it. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And I know you're with me on that, Florio, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, because and I'm sure you will agree too that Triple H will make a mistake once in a blue moon, and I'm gonna make this crystal clear right here, right now. I don't want to hear any of you freaking AEW marks coming out and saying, "Ha ha ha! You see, that episode of Raw sucked." Huh? How about the way your shows and your booking has gone lately? So, I mean, it's not just for one show. It's been going on for so long. So don't come at us with this garbage of, oh, see, this is what happens now when WWE has a bad show. Maybe we'll start to get some of the AEW fans back. It's only for 1 week that Triple H and his crew didn't have a good show. So if any AEW marks want to come at me and with any of that hot garbage you have, bring it, you guys, because I will hit you back and say, yeah, well, what about your AEW booking and your programming lately? It is absolutely freaking sucked ass. Period. And a quotation and a statement. Florio, let's get to the preview of the 2 NFL games on Christmas Day.
And we also have Thursday Night Football.
And Thursday Night Football. So, once again, to all the AEW marks, don't come at me in Florida with any of that. Oh, see how WWE is for when they have a bad show.
They're entitled to have one bad show soon enough. And
worry about what the way your programming's been going lately.
Where a couple of idiots that run around Costco eating friggin' fruit snacks and chicken bake and double chocolate chunk cookies, for goodness sakes, are more over than 95% of that damn roster in the first place. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's freaking ridiculous.
Ugh. All right.
And that is why AEW is is where they are right now.
And that's why we don't even bother watching.
Yeah. So to all you AEW marks that want to come at us, shut the F up.
Go eat some double chocolate chunk cookies for all we care.
Yeah. Why don't all you AEW marks stuff your faces with all those chocolate chip cookies for all I care?
Yeah, like those Costco idiots. Ugh. All right. Let's talk about more positive things. because of the fact that we're taking tomorrow and Wednesday off for Christmas Eve and Christmas and all that, we do have some NFL games that will be going down before our next show, which will be on Thursday night. And, we'll get into the gist of it when we get to the end of it. But as a special added bonus for all of you wonderful fans who tune into our show each and every week, we thank you for your support first off. And, well, how about this? We are going to preview the 2 Christmas games for the NFL, the 2 games that will be taking place this Wednesday on Christmas Day. And we will also preview Thursday Night Football, which will be the final Thursday Night Football game on Amazon Prime Video this season. So let's start it off with what will be our game of the week. Once again, it's our number one. It's our top game of the week on our side of the ledger. And these Christmas Day games will both be exclusively on Netflix. So here you go. 1:00 p.m. Eastern. It will be the Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Acrisure Stadium, formerly Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. Interesting announced teams for these 2 Netflix games. And for this first game, it'll be Ian Eagle, Nate Burleson, and J.J. Watt in the booth. And on the sidelines, it'll be Melanie Collins and Stacey Dales. And Kansas City currently opening up as a 3-point favorite. The series history favors the Pittsburgh Steelers, regular season-wise, 22-12. The Chiefs have won 3 meetings in a row against the Steelers, including playoffs. Their last meeting was the AFC Divisional Playoff in January of 2022 at Arrowhead. Kansas City won that game 42-21. Last regular season meeting was that same year, 2021, in Kansas City. Kansas City smashed Pittsburgh 36-10. Last meeting in Pittsburgh was 2018. Kansas City won a wild one, 42-37. Steelers last beat the Chiefs at home in 2016, and they smashed the Chiefs in that game, 43-14. And Kansas City with a win. The Kansas City Chiefs will clinch the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. A loss, well, that actually opens the door for my team, the Buffalo Bills, but we'll address that maybe as early as Friday night. But nonetheless, here we go. Whether or not George Pickens plays in this one is critical for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Kansas City Chiefs offensive line is still vulnerable, and that opens up opportunities for the Steelers pass rush. With the NFL news on Pickens' status for this game trending in the right direction, I'm thinking about taking a chance here and going with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I think that Pickens and maybe TJ Watt may lead Pittsburgh to a narrow Christmas Day win over Kansas City. I could see it happening. But, the gut is telling me to go with Kansas City, of course, because Kansas City, of course, as we all know, always finds a way to win. But now they're playing against a team that very much could have their number. So I think because of this, I am actually leaning towards the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game. And there is a very realistic possibility that could happen. So with that, you know what? Why not take a chance? I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game. My final score is going to be 20-17. Pittsburgh defeats Kansas City. But would I be surprised if Kansas City somehow won this game? No, absolutely not, because they always find ways to win. So, but for right now, I'm going to take a chance, and I am going to pull for Pittsburgh in this one. So, I got Pittsburgh winning 20-17. So, Michael Bullock, because of the fact that this is our game of the week here on our side of the ledger, MF's not here, so of course you are the Tony Romo to my Jim Nance. So and let's do it once again for MF. Do that thing I like. Hello, friends.
Yeah, this is definitely a big game here on Christmas Day. I mean, like you said, I mean, Kansas City, all they gotta do is win, and they will clinch the number one seed. But Pittsburgh, I mean, they definitely need a win here after losing to the Baltimore Ravens this past Saturday. And yeah, I mean, Kansas City has played all these close games lately, and yeah, Pittsburgh will definitely present a challenge. I mean, especially with what Russell Wilson can do, and especially with George Pickens on the receiving end, and what T.J. Watt can do on the defensive side of the ball, because he is a wreck when it comes to that. And that's going to be the thing for the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs. Can they contain T.J. Watt? If they can do that, it could definitely give Patrick Mahomes some time, whether he's inside the pocket or outside the pocket. So, yeah, and we'll see what the Kansas City Chiefs can do against the Pittsburgh offense here. So, it's going to be a close game here. Oh man, this is so tough. This could go either way, but oh man, we see Kansas City. I mean, with these close games, and I'm with you for it. I'm actually going to take a chance and go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to pull off the upset here. But I would not at all be surprised if Kansas City were to win, and if, of course, like I said, if they win, they clinch the number one seed in the AFC. So, but I'm going to go with Pittsburgh here. So let's move on to the other game of our Christmas Day doubleheader on Netflix.
And how about this, Bullock? We start with our number one game of the week, the game of the week on our end, and we're going to follow that up with our number 2 game of the week. How about that?
Who'd have thunk that our top 2 games of the week are going to be on Christmas Day?
This is the number we go from our game of the week to our number 2 game of the week, and it will feature the Baltimore Ravens squaring off against the Houston Texans, NRG Stadium in Houston, formerly Reliant Stadium, of course. This will be a 4:30 kickoff, also on Netflix. Another unique announced team, Noah Eagle, the son of Ian Eagle. It'll be Noah Eagle and Greg Olsen in the booth. And on the sidelines, it'll be Jamie Erdahl and Steve Weish. They will be on the sidelines. And the spread favors Baltimore. Baltimore opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. And the series history between these two teams, it's a one-sided affair in the regular season. It's 10-2 in favor of Baltimore. 10-2. Last meeting, of course, was earlier this year, January of this year. AFC divisional playoff in Baltimore. Baltimore won that one going away 34-10. Regular season wise, it was earlier last season. Also in Baltimore. Baltimore won going away 25-9. Last meeting in Houston was 2020. Baltimore won that one going away 33-16. The Texans have not beaten the Ravens overall and at home since 2014. 2014, the last time Houston beat Baltimore. That was in Houston, and the final score was 25-13. All right, so Bullock, our number 2 game of the week, Baltimore and Houston in Houston. Baltimore, huge win over Pittsburgh on Saturday. Definitely, and now they are tied with Pittsburgh for the lead in the AFC North Division. And Houston, they've already won their division, but unfortunately, they took a big hit. They lost their receiver, Tank Dell, to a gruesome injury against Kansas City last Saturday. He's done for the year. They signed Deontay Johnson to alleviate that. So,
yeah,
anyways,
that was a pretty bad injury.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, he dislocated his kneecap, tore his ACL, had other damage to his knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only is
Big loss.
his 2024 season done, but 2025 could be in doubt too, because that's how bad it is. So bad to the point that he actually stayed in the hospital overnight.
Yikes. And they did sign Deontay Johnson to hopefully remedy that. Dell is out, and of course they also lost Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs messed up his knee earlier this season. He's done. So, but anyways, Baltimore and Houston, playoff implications for both teams. A little more so for Baltimore than Houston, really.
I was going to say a little more for Baltimore than Houston, because Houston already clinched the South. So, yeah, a win for Baltimore will definitely go further to when it comes to whether they win this AFC North, because it's coming down between them and Pittsburgh when it comes to this. And yeah, Baltimore riding high after what they did against the Steelers this past Saturday, and yeah, Lamar Jackson looking like the MVP from last season. I mean, yeah, this is going to be a tall order for the Texans, especially like you said with no Tank Dell. So I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to win this one. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah, Houston is almost all but locked into that number 4 seed, and I think the 3 seed is going to come down to Pittsburgh and Baltimore, because Buffalo looks like they're on the inside track for the 2 seed, unless some wild and crazy things happen, and somehow Buffalo gets the 1, which can still happen, but it's going to take a lot for it to happen. But anyways. The Baltimore Ravens already have one of the best NFL offenses in 2024. In the last 5 games, they fielded a top 10 defense, facing a bottom 5 Houston Texans offensive line with only one viable receiving threat in Nico Collins to worry about. Baltimore should cruise to victory in a game that projects to be more one-sided than my final score suggests. I'm going to say Baltimore does win. My final score, I've got 27-21. Baltimore defeating Houston. And with that, we have one more game to address, and that will be the final Thursday Night Football game on Amazon Prime Video this season. And it will feature the Seattle Seahawks squaring off against the Chicago Bears from Soldier Field in Chicago. Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, Kaylee Hartung, they will have it. And the series history between these two, regular season wise, it favors the Seattle Seahawks 11-6. However, Chicago has won the last 2 meetings against Seattle. The last meeting was 2021 in Seattle. Chicago won 25-24. Last meeting in Chicago was 2018. Chicago also won that one 24-17. Seattle's last win in Chicago was back in 2012. When they defeated Chicago 23-17 in overtime. So the Seattle Seahawks will be fighting for their playoff hopes in Week 17, while the stakes for the Chicago Bears are about as low as they could get. Kenneth Walker III should fare very well against the Bears defense responsible for allowing almost 149 rushing yards and about a rushing touchdown a game since Week 6. I also expect Mike McDonald's defense to create chaos, which Caleb Williams just is not equipped to diagnose and beat right now. So with that, I am going to go with the Seattle Seahawks to win this game. Chicago always manages to find a way to stay in these games, but I think Seattle will pull this one out. So I got Seattle winning. My final score 24-17. So Bullock, I got Seattle winning 24-17. Keep their playoff hopes alive, and maybe it'll come down to that Ram game the week after, but we'll see. But Chicago out. Seattle, though, their playoff hopes definitely took a hit after that tough loss to Minnesota yesterday. But I do believe Seattle will bounce back against Chicago. I got them winning 24-17. Nothing more to say except take us home, Bullock.
Yeah, I think Seattle's definitely going to bounce back. I mean, after that tough loss to the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they hung with them for throughout the game. It's just a tough loss for them, and they should be able to handle their business with the Chicago Bears. So give me the Seahawks to win. So with that being said, Florio, let's put a bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw.
And that will indeed put the bow on this on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, as always. And of course, like I said earlier, we are taking tomorrow and Wednesday off, obviously, because of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Plans with the families, obviously. And so with that, we will be back with you on Thursday night, right back here on the Tone 25 for our TXN Sports World 2024 Year in Review special. Myself, Michael Bullock, and good old MF Michael Fletcher. We will, of course, reflect on the year in sports, the year that was 2024 in the world of sports. A great year where at least one of our teams had big moments this year. And we'll get into all the greatness that was in 2024. And on top of that, we are also going to preview the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. Penn State and Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. Texas and Arizona State in the Peach Bowl. Ohio State and Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And Notre Dame and Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. We'll get into that on Thursday night. Friday night, of course, we will have the Week 17 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We'll recap the Christmas games as well as the Thursday nighter, and we'll preview the remaining games of week number 17. And then from there, Saturday night, MF will have it. Our Talking Wrestling TXN 2024 year in review. The three of us will look back on the year that was 2024 in the world of professional wrestling and hand out our year-end awards as well. And then 1 week from tonight, we do it again for the final Ridiculously Raw of 2024. We'll review Monday Night Raw, and that's pretty much it. So until Thursday night for our TXN Sports World 2024 Year in Review special, this is Anthony Florio here for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF, Michael Fletcher. And, of course, always and forever, our First Lady, the Twisted Angel, Didi Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Christmas Eve. Have a blessed and Merry Christmas on behalf of all of us here at Talking Wrestling TXN and TXN Sports World.
Merry Christmas, everybody. And, of course, enjoy it with all your friends, all your families, and because that's what's most important about it. And of course, stay safe. Don't do anything stupid, and just enjoy this special day. Because as you have said many times, Florio, this is without a doubt the most beautiful holiday of the entire year. One that I always look forward to.
The most beautiful family holiday of the year, and one that I absolutely look forward to as well. You're absolutely right. So couldn't have said that any better. And of course, you know, the routine as we always do, be good to each other and have a blessed, Christmas and all that. And, and until Thursday night for the TXN Sports World 2024 Year in Review special, you have been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamer.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody. From all of us at Talking Wrestling TXN and TXN Sports World.